Singapore may face renewed economic turbulence following a new wave of trade tariffs imposed by the United States, warned Prime Minister Lawrence Wong on 5 April. The tariffs, announced by former US President Donald Trump on 2 April, include a 10% duty on most imports from Singapore, with even higher rates on other countries, including a 34% tariff on Chinese goods. China responded on 4 April with a symmetrical set of retaliatory tariffs. Speaking at the launch of the Marsiling UT Master Plan, Wong said the world is entering a more dangerous and unpredictable phase. China has already retaliated with its own tariffs, and other countries will soon follow, I am sure. We may well end up with a full-blown global trade war, he said. Wong emphasized the need for unity and resilience, highlighting Singapore's meritocratic system and social cohesion as key to weathering global storms. While there are dark clouds ahead, we can look forward still with confidence in ourselves, he added. In a video released a day earlier on 4 April, Wong called the US decision a seismic change in the global order, and warned that the rules-based system of global trade may be breaking down. Deputy Prime Minister Gan Kim Yin echoed these concerns on 3 April, saying Singapore is reviewing its 2025 growth forecast and preparing economic support if necessary. However, the government's statements have drawn sharp responses on social media, particularly on the Straits Times and Siena's Facebook pages. One commenter wrote, "In short, he's saying stand by for an increase in GST to 15%. Another added, "We can GST hikes every year. What's 10% tariffs?" A frequent concern was that such warnings were being used to justify future domestic price hikes. This message is to preempt you for the rising cost of living. So when they raise again, can blame external factors, one post read. Some questioned the substance of the government's messaging. "Stop telling us the problem. You and your team are paid to provide the solutions," said one user on Siena's platform. Another wrote, "Being the highest paid politicians, we don't need you to summarize the situation. We need solutions." On CNA, frustration about high ministerial pay was a recurring theme. "You're paid a handy sum of more than $2 million per annum. Why don't you figure out a solution instead of telling us to embrace the impact?" One person commented. There were calls for practical policy changes. "You can clamp and control cost of living, not by mere vouchers but transportation, utility bills," one Facebook user wrote. Another posted, "So we paid our taxes in cash, but only to be given as vouchers. Can vouchers pay off medical bills for the elderly?" Some saw the message as politically timed. "Before voting you come out calm the people, after voting increase all the price," read one post. Another remarked, "This is the same fear-mongering tactic like the last election during COVID." A few pointed to perceived inaction on alternatives. Mr. Wong chose to stay and not fight back just because the opponent is the US. He still has ample time to look for alternatives instead of telling people to embrace the impact. Others expressed dissatisfaction with what they saw as a pattern of shifting responsibility. "The world is changing, but not ministers' salaries," said one. Another observed, "You solve it to prove that you and your ministers are worth $1 million salary." There were some who defended the government's position, or emphasized Singapore's limited global influence, but these comments were fewer in number and often met with rebuttals. As the situation unfolds, the government has stated that it is closely monitoring developments and remains ready to intervene if necessary. However, with both global tensions and domestic unease rising, the coming months may test not only Singapore's economic resilience, but also the public's patience.